Hello everyone! So we're now on to the multi-attribute cards in the Celebrating the Card Art of TESL series. Kicking off with Death Scythe. That's actually quite a pretty premium, isn't it? I mean, I don't really play Death Scythe a lot. It's very popular in Telvanni, but that's quite a relaxing premium to sort of look at with the effect coming off of the scythe. I better not stay on it for too long, otherwise I'm probably going to end up hypnotised. I mean, it is a very useful card. Enchanted Ring. I do quite like the effect of the power coming off of the ring there. It's quite relaxing to look at, actually, isn't it? It's a shame there's not more detail or more premium features on the rest of the card, though. It could do with something a bit more than that. But there is a very, again, a very hypnotic effect there. Okay, so Monster Perfection Lab. The art on this is okay. It's not that exciting, really, visually. I suppose because the colours in the background are quite muted. That does actually elevate it, the premium features. It does elevate it quite a lot, actually, because you've obviously got the fire spitting out, and you've got quite a lot of mist and smoke. Well, it's supposed to be more smoke than mist in the background. So I'd say the premium is definitely a cut above the standard version. Not always the case, and there have, when I've been doing this series, been quite a few standard cards that I actually think the art looks more defined and leaps out more at you than, whereas sometimes the premium effects can actually obscure the card. But in this case, you can really see that the art is coming into the foreground because the effects are behind the art. So that really just makes it pop out more in the foreground. Scouts Report, again, very popular in Telvanni. I quite like the art on this. I'm assuming it's either dusk or early dawn when they're sort of having a good look around. Actually, I think I prefer the other, the standard version here. Yes, it is quite attractive having the sort of place lit up, but I just find not so much the smoke, but the sort of emanating circles coming out, it's just a bit distracting, and it really does make the art look more faded, so I prefer the standard version of that. If you didn't have all that sort of circle effect emanating outwards, obscuring the art, then I'd probably prefer this, because I like the fact you've got the torches in the building, and there's also some smoke coming from below. It's just that those circles radiating out that just I find a bit distracting and actually fades the art a bit. Ultra Spellmaking. I do really like the premium on this. I mean, it's not a card I've ever played, but it just looks, it pops out at you, and it's just done very, very, very well. Even the books on the in the background look pretty good. I mean, the colours are almost like enriched from the effect emanating from the artifact. If you can hear a ripping sound in the background, by the way, it's one of the cats attacking their PlayStation. Right, Puppeteer. She always looks a little bit on the creepy side, doesn't she? And a little bit sarcastic. I do quite like the art on that because it conveys her character. Or at least how I imagine her character to be. Others might think differently. Oh, she does look a lot more creepy there, doesn't she, with the glowing eyes? But I definitely prefer the standard being head and shoulders above this, because I think, again, you've got the effect in front of her. Oh, yes, her eyes look more creepy, but it really does make the art look more faded, so I definitely prefer the standard art to the premium in this case. Quite fond of Daggerfall Phantom. I obviously use it in the Covenant deck. I like the colour scheme on this. Obviously, I'm a sucker for purples and blues and greens. Not as much in the green, it's more like aqua here. I do like the colour scheme on that. Goodness me, he does actually stand out a lot more in the premium, doesn't he? That's quite an eerie effect of him sort of undulating like that. It's almost like he's breathing, isn't it, as he's sort of manifesting. I like that. I think it's beautiful. However, I do think I prefer the standard art. I mean, they're probably about neck and neck really, but if I had to pick the standard art, just again the colours on there is just so lovely. Dark Mane. He's got quite nice armour, hasn't he? He does kind of pop, because, okay, you've got muted colours in the background, which I'm not always a fan of, but he does quite pop out on the card here. Yeah, he actually, I think this is another case where he's lit from behind, you've got the effects mainly in the background, and therefore he stands out even more. It's almost like he's going to jump out of the card at you, so I think I prefer the premium version here. I always think of Death ACC when I see this card, because obviously he's one of the move masters in the game, and can sometimes give this a buff to a ridiculous level. It's like amazing, really. I like Empire Recruiter. It's a fun card. The art on it's okay. It's just a fun effect, really. Again, I think there's not a huge amount going on here, but I think I prefer. Yes, you've got the movement of the banner in the background, but I just think I prefer the standard art on this one because it just is more defined. It looks a bit more faded here. Obviously, every time you see this, I mean, this Argonian, let's start off by saying they have got really good armour. I like their armour a lot. When you see this, you think, oh, it's probably going to be invade, even though it's not always invade, but it tends to have had that negative association now because it's like clockwork. It pops out, doesn't it, at the start of a game when you're playing against Guildspawn invade. So, but I do like the armour and the art overall. In fact, I quite like the detail of the archway behind them too. Yeah, I actually think in this case the premium is better because again the effects are mainly behind the Argonian. I've got a soft spot for Argonians anyway, haven't I? I like them as a race. Argonians and Khajiits, they're both very fun to play. The light effect behind them is quite pretty, and you've got the banner just in the background against the wall, gently sort of fluttering. So yeah, I'd say that's better. This is actually, I've never really, well, I've played him a few times, but now I'm actually taking a proper look at him. It is quite good art on here. I like the tree in the background. Again, you've most of the effects are behind him. There's a bit of light on his face and armour, but he definitely stands out more in the picture because most of the effects are behind him. Yeah, that's a really good one. Now, this lady gets a lot of love in Redder builds, particularly if she gets buffed with Rally. Quite a nice outfit she's got on there. Quite like her knife as well, although I suppose it's not acceptable to walk around carrying a knife in real life. But yeah, I quite like the art on this. The background's a bit muted, but she does really stand out at the front. That's so much better, isn't it? I mean, you've got the... Again, I think it's so marked when I've been doing this card art series, how often the premiums just look that much better when the effects are kept to the background with just a little bit of subtlety in the foreground. It just makes the characters pop out more. So you've got the flames and the light and a bit of smoke glinting on her blade and a bit of glint on her outfit as well. That is definitely a cut above the standard in this case. Now, I've only ever seen this very occasionally on ladder until recently when it was in a grand melee, I think. I do like the art on this is the alt art version. You've got the candles in the background. You get the smoke coming through and light coming through. Really hard to pick between the two of them. I think if I mean, I was grateful to be able to get this in Grand Melee. I really, I do like the art on it. But I think if I was forced to choose between that and the standard art, I'd probably go with the standard premium. I just think her out. Well, this is a girly worly thing to say, but I think her outfit's better in the sort of premium of the standard art. But I do very much like the alt art as well. Rift Fane, such a staple of a card. Very, very useful in a lot of builds for early aggression or for defense later on in game. So solid 2-drop. And yes, I do definitely prefer the premium head and shoulders above the standard, because it's almost like, well, you've got the sky, that lovely effect behind him, and he really does pop out at you. That's probably a candidate for going on the hypnotic card list if I ever get time to do it. I mean, it feels like time is running out with the game, because we're now, what's it today? The 25th today, and although they've not said what time TESL is being shut off, I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be at the start of the day of the 30th rather than the end. Otherwise they'd said 31st, wouldn't they? So not many days left. Anyway, this is a really lovely effect behind him, so I much prefer the premium here. Negation, very, very popular in Telvanni, has its uses in other decks as well, like Covenant. Not a great fan of the art here. Again, I think it's mainly the muted colours in the background. I suppose the effect does make him stand out more there, doesn't it? Yeah, still not a great fan of the art, but I think the effect does actually enhance the card. Makes the character in the forefront stand out more. I like Dragon Knight, it's good fun, and can get scarily big sometimes. Really like the base art on here, nice armour, flame effect in the background. However, when you see that, again, this is a case of all the effects being mainly in the background apart from the flames coming off of his hands. It makes him really pop out of the card. Really nice flame effect that appeals to my pyromaniac heart, and you've got the smoke in the background and a few sparks coming off as well. So I definitely prefer the premium here. I also like the sound it makes when he gets buffed and you hear like the sound of the sword. That's a really good touch, I think. Now this is what I'd call a naughty card, because whenever I've run it I've never got value out of it. It just appears in my hands when I've had no one-cost creatures at all and just sits there, so I either play it and get no value or I just sit there fuming. So it's definitely a naughty card. For me at least. It works for a lot of other people. Not a great fan of the art here, but it is what it is. Okay, this does improve it, mainly because I'm a sucker for purple in my book, so the purple effect on there does actually improve it. But I'm still not a great fan of the base art. Archer's Gambit. This is obviously a staple in like lethal slay decks, but it has its uses in other ways as well. Particularly if you're pairing it with something like 3 Feather War Chief and then want to just remove a guard or something. Quite like the base art on this because it's like you get a sense of movement as she's flying through the air. Now I do like the snow effect in the background. I'm a sucker for a flame effect as well. It's just it's kind of obscuring her face a little bit, so I'm less of a fan. Can I forgive that because of the relaxing snow effect? I probably can, actually. Yeah, I think I could probably get hypnotised staring at that flame effect. So even though normally I don't like things obscuring the art at the front, I'd say that's just a smidgen better than the base art. Actually, the snow effect in the background does help her to pop out a little bit more from the card as well. Assassin's Ritual. Obviously I like skeletons, so that's quite fun having that there. It's decent, the art. Okay, nothing thrilling, but it's decent. But this really is a cut above, isn't it? Because you've got all the light from the candles. A bit of purple light coming in from the top. And all the candles being lit up around the skeleton do actually add a bit more definition to both creatures. So that's definitely a head and shoulders above the standard art version. I like how the purple light does actually tend to increase the longer you look at it. Yeah, that's quite relaxing to look at, actually, isn't it? You can see it thinning out again now, and it starts again in a minute, so that's really nice. Well, I say it's nice, but it's also, I suppose, nice bordering on lovely in my book, even though it's a dark topic. Now, obviously, I'm not a great fan of seeing this on ladder because it gets overused, but the base art on it's okay. Fairly subtle effects on this one. You've got the fire in the background and a few light effects. Really, when you consider when the game, before the game, everything became like one gold, that's actually quite costly for not much extra going on visually. But I suppose it does pop out more in this version, just by virtue of the background being a little bit more muted with the effects. Very fun card. I must admit I do like Rally. Yeah, I definitely prefer the premium here. You've got the light effects, again, primarily behind him. You've got the effect on his blade, but it's not actually positioned over his face, so you can still see his face okay. And with the light behind him, he does actually pop out more on the card, so I definitely prefer the premium here. Very, very useful card, and I do like the sense of movement and battle that you have going on here. Yeah, that's actually... Is it wrong to say that a picture of something being attacked looks lovely? But it does, doesn't it? I think I like... It's really hard to pick between these two, because I do like the standard art as well, even without the effects on there. But I do quite like the way that the fire effects have been sort of put on here, and you can see like the projectiles coming in, the fiery projectiles coming in. So that's really well done card. I'd say I like them both pretty much neck and neck, but that just ekes ahead in terms of which one I think is best. So here's the alt version of Crusaders Assault. I've only got one copy of it. I think, I mean, it has come around several times in events, but I'm less of a, well, I'm less of a fan of this. I just think the art's more muted, and I think it was an event that I didn't particularly enjoy playing, so I didn't bother to go back and get more copies. It's okay, but I definitely prefer the standard art in this case. Quite like their shield here. Also like the mix of colours on the card. Actually, the helmet's not bad either, is it? So I do quite like the base art here. Also a very useful card. Pretty much auto included in the Dominion. Like the flame effect behind him. And the fire in the background definitely makes him pop out, but I'm not a fan of that green effect being in the foreground, really. However, looking at them both alongside each other, I think I do still marginally prefer this version. I think the shield pops out a little bit more because the effects behind it with the fire and everything. This is a card I'm quite fond of because I've played it in like Mage Imperial before. Base art's perfectly fine, however, just look at the hat. I mean, that is... Obviously I'm a pyromaniac at heart, so I like a good flame effect, and it also, you'll notice again, it's either underneath them or off to one side, so they're not being obscured by it. Really, really good. One of my darlings. I love For Another Pact in my early Ebengard deck. I used to play him, but not other veterans, and also I've also played him in Eben Zoo, where he's like the there's 3 of him, and then for draw, and then the rest of it's all animals. So very fond of the card. Have used it a heck of a lot, and great early aggression as well against opponents when you want to sort of in the game fast. I think it's like a neck and neck job again here. I like the baseline art. I do like the fact that you got the banner in the background, some sparks and smoke coming off a fire in the background. So again, that's quite atmospheric. Some of his clothes are moving a little bit in the breeze, and seeing the interplay of light on his face, and obviously the warmth from the fire on his outfit. I'd say this one marginally better than the standard art. It's just that little bit more of atmosphere to it, isn't there? Very, very good card. I've thoroughly enjoyed playing with him. Mage's Trick. Quite like the art here. The colours in the background are quite attractive as well, and add a pleasing contrast with the actual magical effect on the card. That does actually elevate the card though. You can see her face okay. The flame's just low enough that you can see her face okay, and so it's like fire and ice effects, isn't it? Hello, Midnight. Good boy. Let's come over for a cuddle. Yeah, I do like the contrast of the 2 magical effects. You've still got the smoke in the background as well. Definitely a cut above the base art, but the base art's pretty good too. Spell Sword Summoning. It's okay, the base art. It's nothing that special though, is it? I do really like that though, because that gives it, that really elevates it quite a lot actually. It's so I'm just going to move a bit so the cat can come on me for a cuddle while I carry on recording. Okay, so I like the sort of effect behind them. It does make them pop out more. So it's just coming back around, so I'll just move. It does make them pop out a lot more. It's just quite hypnotic, isn't it? Lovely. Definitely a cut above. Come on, Midnight, good boy. Cat's Paw, one of the most sacrificed ladies in the game. I always feel slightly uneasy. I know it's silly to have a sense of loyalty towards your cards when they're inanimate objects, but I think killing your own creatures is a little bit... I've never really been a fan of it. But I appreciate it's a very useful card. And sometimes it's useful just as bait, isn't it? 'Cause people will kill it rather than let you draw the extra cards, so... Yeah, the effects in the background, they do make her stand out a bit more. I like the effect in the background, sort of here, without wanting to get my cursor over the card too much, because I'm trying to leave space and time for people if they want to screen grab their favourites to be able to do that. Yeah, she does stand out more. Although I wish rather they didn't have the effect going over her face. I do think that's a good premium, so I'd say it's better than the standard art. Quite like, I mean, her outfit's quite nice. It does stand out more as well, doesn't it? With the effects behind it. Transition Shrine. I always think of Mr. Death AZZ when I look at that card, because he used to play it quite a lot in our friendlies, and he always seemed to do really well off the back of it. But I like the base art there. You've got the obviously you've got the blue fire of the flame. You've got the lovely sunset in the background, and I just like the colours. You've got the oranges and a bit of purple, and just I like the colours, and also the definition of the around the shrine is very good as well on the actual card art. And that one, yes, you've got the smoke in the background, but that blue sort of flame is really, really relaxing to look at, isn't it? So I'd say they're both pretty much neck and neck, because I really like the colours on the sort of standard art. Obviously, that's reflected here. But I'd say the blue flame, obviously, that draws the eye more, so you don't tend to notice the background as much. So a difficult one. I'd say I just about prefer this one mainly because of the blue flame effect, but they're both absolutely lovely. This is a fun card. Obviously, it's very situational. Less keen on the art, but obviously some of the art, it's just down to your taste, isn't it? I like the flame effect in the background here. That it does really make him pop out of the card, so that's definitely way head and shoulders above the baseline card. Really elevates that and the mood as well. I could stare at that flame effect for ages. Very, very relaxing to watch, isn't it? Even though the spirit of the card's not particularly relaxing. I do like this card. It's just got a real sense of movement to it, and it's useful if you've got a good board out and you can get value off all the creatures. Again, that one's quite hypnotic. If you get caught up looking at the sense of movement in it, you could gaze at that for ages. Never pleased when I see this come out, because obviously the opponent's getting drained. Baseline art's okay, it's nothing special. However, when you see that, it really does elevate it, because the character, although the two effects are off to one side, and obviously you've got the altar bit in front, it doesn't in any way obscure the character, because most effects are off to one side, and obviously you've got the bit at the front, but their main body and face are totally unobscured. So that's a massive enhancement on the card. I really like that. Again, I think it could be quite hypnotic the longer you look at it. I'd better stop, otherwise I'll just be here and sitting in a trance, won't I? Trance is a very relaxing state, by the way. But that won't help me finish this video, will it, if I'm sat there gazing at it adoringly for ages. I really like Punisher as a card. I know some people say they'd never play him, but really, really useful card. With quite a big threat attached to it as well. Based on art's okay. but he just stands out so much more there because you've got obviously the flames in the background. This has been a theme throughout these videos, so hasn't it, is that when you've got the effects mainly in the background, it just makes the art pop out that bit more. I mean, it's almost like I could reach out and touch that dagger that he's got in the foreground. With detailing on the uniform as well. And you've got the glowy eyes too, so really, really well done, this one. And a real cut above the standard art. I don't even mind the fact the background is muted there because they've just done it so well. This is a fun card. The actual art's not particularly exciting on it though, is it? I like the fact that the sword, it lights up like it's got lightning there. Still think their face looks a bit weird. The effect on the hand that's in the foreground quite fetching, and it does actually not detract from their face, although maybe in this case they just have a very odd expression on their face. And the smoke in the background's an interesting colour as well, so I quite like that. It's nothing, it's not like a head and shoulders outstanding one, is it? But it's still an improvement on the standard. I know this card gets used a lot in greedy decks, but I do like. I've got an Argonian deck that I play from time to time, and actually, for a while, it was like Telvanni Kryptonite. Whenever I was playing it on ladder, it's pretty rubbish. It's just Argonian tribal. But whenever I was playing it on ladder, I used to slaughter Telvanni, which was most bizarre because you would have thought it would have been a scout sort of Argonian tribal wouldn't be strong, and to be blunt, it's not that strong. I think I was just lucky with the way that I drew the cards, but I had quite a few matches where I actually just slaughtered Telvanni with it, so that kind of made me smile. But anyway, I like this card because he sounds so indignant when he gets hit, doesn't he? It's just funny, and that's partly why I made the Argonian deck, is because they all sound really indignant and surprised when they get hit. But there, the premium is just such an outstanding premium compared to the baseline art. You've got the effect going on in the background. Even the foreground effects don't detract from the character. They really do pop out of the card. I think again because their face isn't really affected by the and in this case it's not actually making the art look faded in any way. Really, really good. Although I'm never pleased to see it on ladder because obviously it means someone's trying to get pilfer and get a night talon out early. That's normally what happens. Edict, I quite like the baseline art on here. Admittedly, the card is just really, really got lovely colours on it. I'm a sucker for purple, aren't I? What can I say? And that is really quite hypnotic. Again, you've got purple and gold and the effect on the dragon's wing. So that's definitely way better than the standard, but it's still decent art in both. Again, I'm never pleased to see him on ladder because it means potential for the opponent to get health gain. However, having said that, I like the baseline art. I think he's got good uniform. Sword looks good. He looks like a solid defender, doesn't he? Again, for this amount of gems, if the game was still carrying on, it's actually quite expensive because it's quite subtle, the effects on the card. I like the effect on the blade, and okay, there's movement, subtle movement going on in the background, but there's not a huge amount you're getting extra for all those gems, is there? I think I prefer this one actually. I mean, the art, his clothes and armour stand out more on there. If you're hearing thudding in the background, it's midnight. He's jumping on and off things. He's now coming over again for a cuddle, so he says it's a bit lively. Anyway, yeah, it just looks a little bit more faded here, doesn't it? The armour definitely looks a bit deeper in the other version, so I prefer the standard, I think. Again, Haunted Manor, another card that I think of Mr. Death ACC when I we used to play a heck of a lot of friendlies, and they were always very fun. And he just used to pull off so many fun combinations, and that's I always think of him with this card as well. He was just very, very good with it. I do prefer the premium here. I like the effect coming out of the sort of entrance. And I like the vivid blue sky in the background. Obviously it's on both versions of the card, but the effects actually help to make that look more enhanced. Here he comes, he wants a cuddle. Alright, Midnight, come on boy. You might hear, oh, that might have been him trying to purr into the mic, so hopefully you won't make too much noise. Midnight, can you come? Cuddle up, please, boy. Come on, boy. Good boy. Very, very useful card in, I mean, I like Consume, but I tend to prefer it more in Assassin colours than the standard Sorcerer. I know Sorcerer's Consume is very strong, but I prefer it in Assassin, but it's very useful in Covenant decks as well, this one. The premium is definitely way better here. I can't help but thinking, I mean, I know a zombie doesn't need to go to the toilet, but the way it's got its knees almost like knocking together, it's like it needs to go to the loo. Anyway, that's enough of my irreverent thoughts. I do think the effect in the background with the light is really, really beautiful, and it really makes the zombie stand out more to the forefront, doesn't it? So I'd say the premium is way better than the standard, just purely because of the beauty of the effect behind it, and it really does make him stand out. Obviously I'm a great fan of Rally. Less keen on the art on this one. I love the card. I think I'm less keen on the art on it because obviously you've got it's more of a faded background again already, even before you have effects put on it. He does stand out more, definitely, with the, I mean, you've got the movement of the vegetation behind him. Obviously he's highlighted as a feature as well. Yeah, I'd say that's better. I mean, actually some of the light behind him does actually make the background look less drab as well. So I'd say it's a better premium than the standard. Okay, always annoying when you see him on ladder. However, to give him his credit, his better art, so it's one of the better invade cards in terms of art and that. He looks like he's got a bit of a fake tan on there, doesn't he? And looking at this version, obviously you've got the falling leaves in the background. It does make him, and a bit of movement on his robes, it does make him pop out more. Is he the one who's, ha, you cannot stop the will of Lord Dagon? I think he is, isn't he? And I just want to go, sod off Lord Dagon. I know that's not very polite, but, or get stuffed, as my polite version of, get stuffed Lord Dagon is what I think when he says that. But yeah, the card art is, definitely enhanced by the premium effects there. And he is one of the better invade cards in terms of the art. A lot of the invade cards, the art's really ugly, isn't it? Here's Martin! Who doesn't love Martin? I mean, really? He's just so good fun. I mean, I just play him often just to get the colour combination in a deck. And also, I like it when it says no man can deny his destiny. Quite philosophical for a card game. Martin's good fun, and he's also very good bait if you've got other cards you want to try and hold on to. Like the art here, because you've got interesting interplay of light on the card. He does stand out more on the premium though, because the effects are mainly behind him and off to the side. So, really, really like that. Definitely a cut above the premium. And you've got the movement on his robes as well. It's quite relaxing to sort of look at that card, isn't it? Quite like her outfit here. I know that's a girly thing to say. card you'll kind of want to get rid of soon when you're encountering expertise, because very, very valuable in that sort of deck. She does look very studious. I like the baseline art a lot. But look at how she stands out so much more with the back. Again, you've got light off to one side behind her, you've got a sort of smoky atmosphere. There's obviously a fire in front of her, as the way that she's gleaming all of a sudden. It's either, yeah, you just can see the flicker of a candle and that. And that really elevates the card, just simple things like that. And as I said, most of the effects are behind her, and the ones that are in front are not in any way obscuring her face. So just really, really good. Really like that so much. I mean, the base was good, but that premium is so much better. So Master of Thieves, obviously a card that people don't especially like seeing out on board when they're playing against Monk, because he really, with Monk Pilfer, he really does elevate the sort of deck's effect. Even the standard art, he looks quite faded, doesn't he? Because you've got quite a strong like sunlight effect from the front. He looks even more faded here. Very, very useful card. I think I prefer the standard because, I mean, there's obviously the strong sunlight effect on both of them. But he just seems even more faded here, so I prefer the standard. Monk Strike, very, very useful card, particularly when paired with Dark Mane. It can get quite scary quite quickly. I've seen Davis basically use it to great effect and then move Dark Mane around several times and got phenomenally high attack off of that. Like the art on the baseline. That Khajiit looks quite savage, doesn't it? Pretty effect, however it does obscure the character's face. A bit conflicted about this because I do like the effect. And when you can see through the character's face, it is almost as if it's enhanced and pops out that bit more. Okay, I'll say that I prefer this version, even though normally I don't like it in the effects at the front. But when I look at it between when the light's thin, he just looks more defined. So I'll go with that as being better. Fun mechanic in Veteran. Obviously, one of the problems with veterans is they have to survive in order to get their effect. When you see this, you obviously want to kill it as soon as possible to stop them getting that. He's always seen quite a shy card on ladders. Even when I've seen people playing a full veteran deck, he often doesn't turn up. However, when you look at the baseline art compared to this one, again, most of the effects are behind him. The light's really lovely there, isn't it? The quality of light. I do prefer that, because again, most of the effects are behind him, and it really makes him pop out of the card. It almost feels like it's like early morning that he's out and about. Baron Sire. Very, very fun card. Always a good bait for getting opponents to use their removal early. I like her outfit, actually. I prefer... probably heresy to say that, because it is quite attractive, the premium. Well, I actually prefer the baseline. Again, her outfit looks slightly faded there. You've got the effect which keeps going over her face, and that I just think she looks more defined on the standard art, so I actually prefer that. I mean, it's quite a relaxing effect to look at. It's quite hypnotic, but it's just she looks more faded on this version. Always a worry when you see this because, oh, that's a lovely volcano effect, isn't it? I've never really looked at it that closely before. Well, obviously you always worry when you see this in case Dagothr comes down early. But I really like the art on that. You've got obviously the flame effect, the effect on the sky. There's a real sense of dimension. You feel like it is actually quite far away, and the vegetation's moving as well. There's quite a lot of definition in that card. You've got some mist coming out from near the foot of the volcano as well. And the vegetation just really, really well done. That's lovely, actually. Don't really play that card because I don't like to have decks that are too much of a high end, because traditionally my decks come out back to front, but I do really like the card. Now, Last Gasp's always a very fun effect to have, isn't it? While I'm not a great fan of the art on this card, it is a fun card and very useful. Okay, you're going to get a weak guard, but it does still delay your opponent, so it's quite useful. I like the blues and greens on the card as well. That is way better though. I mean, just the effect around him. Okay, you got the sword effect in the front, which is lovely. But he really does pop out more. Even his features just seem that little bit more defined from having that effect behind him. It's a big improvement. Definitely better than the baseline art. I know obviously I wasn't a fan of the baseline art, but he does just really pop out with that effect behind him. Now, item cards are often not the most exciting in terms of the baseline art. That one's okay. I do prefer this one. You got the slight sense of movement. Admittedly, again, there's not a huge amount going on for the gems that you have to pay for it traditionally. But it's okay, but it's better than the standard art. I don't often see Underboss these days. I think I've seen maybe once in the last 3 months. When I first started playing, he played a fair bit actually. Seems to have fallen that a favour. I do like the effect here. Okay, you've got the dagger, which is quite subtle. But he does pop out the card a bit more. It's a good premium. Tyr, obviously feel a fair bit of affection for Tyr because he's one of the early cards you get, isn't he, when you do the first story and that. So I dare say a lot of us are fond of Tyr since we remember him from the days as a newbie. Again, this is definitely better than the standard art. He just pops out the card more because you've got most of the effects behind him. Quite hypnotic to look at those the sparks. I mean, the sparks in the front are not detracting from the art in any way, so he still looks the art is still sort of vivid and well defined. But that effect behind him is quite hypnotic actually, isn't it? Yeah, definitely a really good premium there. Not a great fan of the art on here, although it is a very useful card. That the pelt looks a bit uncomfortable for him, doesn't it? Do you really like the effect on the axe though? And actually the blue effect behind him. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely better than the standard. And Darcy, very, very popular card. I know some people don't like her, but she's so useful. You can normally get some kind of value out of her. But particularly if you get charged at the end and finish off an opponent. I admit I've got a soft spot for Khajiits, haven't I? Again, the effect in the front, the foreground, is not actually detracting from the art in any way because it's very, very minor. I'd say I prefer the premium. Spellwright. Do you really like the effect on this card? Okay, the background's a bit muted and that, but he does stand out quite a lot. And I suppose I associate this card with the Worgulator because a few years ago he did a video around the mechanic of getting the magic up using this card. You don't often see it played on ladder. Occasionally I'll see it played. I think I saw it played last season. Quite a subtle effect on the very minimal movement on the clothing. And the main focus is then the power comes from his hand, but a solid premium. Aren, very, very popular card. I like her armour. She kind of reminds me a bit of Ramira in House the Dragon, just the look on her face. That's sort of, maybe I'm just being fanciful, but she's kind of has that similar sort of resigned look about her, like they're being dragged into a conflict. Do like the premium more. I mean, it's fairly even between the two. I like the effect on the armour, and you've got the banner in the background, so I think the premium is definitely better. I like the baseline art on this one. He's not often played. Quite like the colours in the background, they make him stand out more. Again, I tend to think of the Worgulator when I think of this. I know he did do a deck focused around him. Most of the effects are behind him, so again it makes the character pop out more. And the actual light effect enhances his face rather than obscures it, so I think I prefer the premium here. Duneripper, you either love him or hate him. I think he's quite good fun. Obviously, if someone puts lethal on him, it's a pain in the butt to get rid of, but I do... Even though he's a lucky little devil, isn't he? But I do think he's quite a fun card. He does definitely, although the effect is kind of in the front of the card mainly, he does stand out more. I think because his face, it sort of is around his face. So I'd say I prefer the premium version. Appreciate some people really don't like him though.